Hey, what is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I is, the good doc, Dr. Mike, back again. Once again with another Foreigner Reacts video. And this is just sad, okay? I know I'm late to the table on this one. I know I'm late to the table on this one, but I gotta talk about this one. Shout out to my boy, Mr. Pissed Off Driver. He actually left this as a link in one of my comment sections on my videos, and it really did force me to have to do this story. I didn't want to, but when I saw, some connecting points that I could actually use in reference to the live stream and in reference to my content in general, I had to hop all over this one. Okay, so in today's story, we're gonna talk about how a young lady forced her boyfriend to commit suicide. Okay, I don't like talking about suicide. I hate it, as a matter of fact. I think it's really an unnerving feeling. And, when you push somebody to the brink of something to really make them want to hurt themselves, it's bad all around, okay? So please don't mind my demeanor in this particular video. I find nothing funny about it. So it's probably going to be a little bit more of a straightforward, serious type video than my normal, semi quirky, try to get a good laugh in type of content, okay? So it says former Boston College student charged with involuntary manslaughter and suicide of her boyfriend. Okay, I'm gonna leave the link listed in the description area below. Okay, it says for months, In Young Yu subjected her boyfriend at Boston College to a campaign of psychological cruelty, unrelenting abuse that escalated over time. A 21-year-old from South Korea, Yu exerted almost complete control over Alexander Yurtala, which was the boyfriend who committed suicide, isolating him from his friends and family and exploiting his deepening depression. She sent Yurtala nearly 800 text messages a day over a 2 month period over the spring, repeatedly urging him to take his own life. On May 20, hours before he was going to receive his college diploma, with his parents looking on, Yurtala jumped off the roof of a Roxbury parking garage at Boston College. Yu, who had tracked him through his phone, watched nearby as he fell to his death. Oh God, this gets worse. On Monday, Boston prosecutors said that Yu had been indicted on charges of involuntary manslaughter in the death of her boyfriend, alleging that her wanton and reckless behavior chronicled in an astounding trove of 75,000 text messages, which overwhelmed him, and overwhelmed his will to live. Mrs. Yu was aware of his spiraling depression and suicidal thoughts brought about by her abuse, the district attorney said. Even still, she continued to encourage Mr. Yurtala to take his own life. It was unclear if Yu has a lawyer for this particular case, and she could not be reached for comment. During the couple's tumultuous 18-month relationship, Yu, the young lady, was physically, psychologically, and verbally abusive to her boyfriend. The abuse came for the abuse became more frequent, more powerful, and more demanding in the days and hours leading up to Mr. Yurtala's death. This unrelenting abuse was witnessed by friends and classmates of both parties and documented extensively in text messages between the couple and in Mr. Yurtala's journal entries. So the man kept a journal basically chronicling his experience with this particular young lady. Yurtala, a son of Filipino immigrants, that's why I wanted to cover this story, was studying biology, grew up in Cedar Grove, New Jersey, where he taught Taekwondo to children. He volunteered for 3 years at a food bank and was a member of the tennis club and the medical science club at his high school. He was a remarkable young man who could have done anything in this world. That's what a family friend said. The manslaughter allegations handed down by a grand jury on October 18th were a grim echo of the criminal case against Michelle Carter. Oh gosh, you would. Ah, Lord, the Plainville teenager who was convinced of involuntary manslaughter for the 2014 death of her boyfriend. The charges gained national attention and sparked a legal debate over whether words alone should justify charges of murder or manslaughter in cases of coerced suicide. Um, the case is indisputably tragic, and our thoughts are with Alexander's family and friends. We continue to have concerns that involuntary manslaughter prosecutions are not constitutional when they are based solely on encouraging speeches. It is unclear when you, who is now living in South Korea, will be arraigned on the charges. Okay? But, ladies and gentlemen, that's it, man. I'm not going to go too much into the story because it goes on and on and on. But let's be real, ladies and gentlemen. This shit here is all bad. Okay? There ain't nothing cool about it. There is nothing that I like about it. And the fact that my man was Filipino descent, you know how I feel about the country, and he grew up in the United States apparently, and he dealt with depression, and it's truly unfortunate that a young lady could force a man to do such things to himself. We talked about being whipped and we talked about being love struck and all of that stuff. And it's always good fun to be able to have these particular conversations with you guys. It's fun to be able to share in stories where you hear about guys allowing themselves to be taken advantage of by some girls and using it as a learning experience. But when a girl is so overbearing, so, aggressive and so, destructive in her behavior to the point where it's causing you to want to cause harm to yourself, that's where I draw the line, bruh. There ain't nothing funny about that. You know, my man was on the verge of graduation, about to walk across the stage. Actually, he was done. He was about to receive his diploma from Boston College and get on with his life. She encouraged this man to kill himself. Are you serious right now? Come on, bruh. And we're living in a society where suicide ain't nothing to play with, and I'm not no spokesperson for it. I'm not your PSA, nothing like that. This is just real talk from the good Dr. Mike TV. One thing that I've noticed that is different between my time in Asia and my time in the Philippines, I mean, Jesus Christ, my time in Asia and my time in the United States is simply this. I made a video a while back about school shootings and stuff, and I didn't really detail it to the extent of like you see in other videos, but I basically said that school shootings and stuff like that, and I hate to mention it because it sounds bad, but that's the type of shit that you only hear about in the United States. You don't really have those types of issues in Asia or in the Philippines more specifically. What I've noticed is if people are being bullied or if people are being harassed, if people are in Asia, more specifically the Philippines where I was, if that type of behavior is happening towards these kids would hurt themselves before they go out and hurt others. I've heard of people who are stressed and overwhelmed with testing. A kid failed a psychological exam, like a psychology exam for a class. He gets a hotel room and jumps off the balcony of the hotel room. Kids being bullied in school, they hurt themselves, guys. They normally not like it is in the United States where people tend to choose to react differently than they may in Asia. And I kind of say that to say this in relevance to this particular situation where the young man basically had enough of, he just fuck, man. He basically was overwhelmed by this young lady, and this chick was basically telling him to harm himself. Bruh, never in my life have I ever been with a woman that would ever put me in that particular type of position. I've never had a young lady say that shit to me, and I'd be damned if I ever let a young lady say that shit to me. And I'd be damned if you let a young lady ever put you in a position where you feel like you want to hurt yourself. My pops always told me the realest shit, and I want to say this now. I want to say it now because if you guys have never heard me say it, I want you to hear it in this video. My father always told me this. If you are in a toxic situation or a toxic relationship, or if your woman if you ever get to the point where you physically want to cause bodily harm to your young lady, if it's that toxic to where you are starting to want or get the urge to feel like you want to be physically abusive to this young lady, like you want to choke the shit out of her, or you want to push her down a flight of stairs, or you want to punch her in the mouth, if you ever get to that point, get out and run as fast as humanly possible. If you ever get the urge to ever want to hurt your young lady, if you ever get to the point where you ever want to hurt your young lady, get out as quick as humanly possible. And again, that's probably the flip side of this particular story. But if you ever feel like you want to harm yourself as a result of not being able to be with the young lady, or if a young lady is making you feel that way, gentlemen, I pray for you. And I hope that you get the help that you need, but you need to run away as fast as humanly possible. Now, again, going to college with the young lady, you could have changed your number and all of the above, but I guess in my mind, I guess here's Here's my thought process, and I hate to play devil's advocate, but I want you guys to hear me on this one, because I'm listening to the story, and as I read the article, it said that she was basically texting him 800 times a day. Do you know how much energy it takes for you to text a person 800 times a day? Not unless those were pre-text text messages, and I doubt that they were. Do you know how much energy it takes to text a person 800 times a day? So in my mind, I'm thinking something is really mentally wrong with that girl. And maybe I'm wrong. But for you to psychologically abuse somebody, you've really got to be messed up in the head of yourself. Okay, you've really got to have something wrong with you to text a person 800 times a day to amass over an astounding 75,000 text messages, bro. Number one, who paying for that? Like, damn, how can you afford? I mean, got 75,000 text messages. I mean, I'm saying you could get a plan and whatever, whatnot. I'm just saying, I'm saying it to be real, but I'm trying to figure out the logic behind 800 text messages a day. That means you literally have nothing to do, and all you have time to do is fuck with your boyfriend. And that's a no go for me. That's the type of shit that makes me want to trip a chick, you know? I mean, it hurts my feelings to know that a woman pushed a man to go this far. There's nothing worse in this world. Is mental instability and depression and all of that stuff. That stuff is real. Like, I know people who personally go through stuff like this, and I've never heard of them physically say that they want to harm, themselves, but sometimes when you get exhausted and you get depressed and, you feel like you are just overwhelmed with life, having to deal with school, having to deal with careers and work, and then having to deal with a toxic relationship and all of this stuff, it can become a lot for anybody to put up with. A man once said, even in the Bible, it says that God will never put something on you that you that you can't handle. And I hate to quote religion because I know some people have differing religions, but I'm just throwing that out there. I'm throwing that energy out there because they say that you will never, nothing will ever be put on you that you're not, able to handle. But my man, it was too much. He was in a biology program, I believe, if I read that correctly. And that's a prerequisite before going into like what is a doctoral degree program. I know that because I have plenty of friends who are in, biology, that took biology as a prerequisite and also took nursing as a prerequisite to get into medical school, to get into medical school. And this is in the Philippines, guys. And, medical school in the Philippines and the United States is different. And I know the mental, strain that being in medical school has on a person. I've seen it firsthand. My young lady's best friend, she's in in a doctoral program. Her husband, he's in a doctoral program, and I see the stress on their face every day when they're having to go to clinics and having to do their all-nighters, and they're already done with the school part, so now they're in their I don't want to call it OJT because interning or whatever it may be, and there's no time. They're on duty 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours straight. And I see that I see the, what it takes, and I see the toll that it has on them. So imagine having that type of pressure plus the pressure of some crazy chick texting you all day long, and you kind of can't change your number because I'm sure your friends and everybody else have access to you or whatever it may be, or you need that number because only certain people have that number. Now all of a sudden that's what you have to deal with as well. You understand? I mean, you can't change it because you can't get rid of the context that you have. So I mean, what can you do? Block her? Maybe he didn't want to block her because apparently that was his quote unquote girlfriend, and I'm saddened by this, guys. And again, it hurts me most because my Filipino brethren. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I consider the Philippines my second home. So, this happening to somebody Filipino blood. I mean, of course, foreigner reacting only, but it's just fucked up, man. It's really bad, and things can get things couldn't get any worse, man. You wish that people would have said something and done something before it got this bad. Oh, people were just spectators, or people recognized that she was being abusive, but nobody did anything. Why didn't they do anything? Because he was a guy? And I want to hit on that shit too, man. I'm going to keep it 100. And I know it's coming in late in the video, but I don't care. I hope you guys catch the end of it. But you mean to tell me nobody intervened because he was a dude or some shit? That's what I'm thinking. If it was the girl being mentally abused, everybody and their mama would be hounding this dude and be in that situation and be up in everybody's ass trying to get the situation rectified. But because it was a dude, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like nobody was doing what they were supposed to do because it was a dude being mentally, physically, and emotionally abused. All of a sudden, nobody's going to get involved in that? How am I supposed to feel about that? Hmm? It's that double standard shit, man. It's that double standard shit. Had it have been the female that was being emotionally and psychologically abused, everybody would have been on top of that. They would have regulated quick, I would assume. But because it was a guy, nobody else did anything. Like, I mean, you don't believe that guys can be mentally, physically, and emotionally abused by women? And I know it makes a man sound weak. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. I mean, I don't allow it to happen, and most men who are in their right mind would not allow it to happen. But yet and still, as we know, my man was already suffering from depression. This ain't brand new. This shit. Guys, I'm done. Okay, I'm pretty much finished. I really want to hear what you guys have to say on this one. I mean, I want you guys to light up the comment section with absolutely everything you have. Just make sure you keep it PG-13 to an extent. Let's refrain from the use of profane language. I know that I did not, but you know, I don't want to have to go through and approve every comment because you guys are going in on this shit. But what I want you guys to do is let me know in the comment section, just let me know anything that you guys feel about this particular story, okay? I know I'm late, so don't kill me for it. But again, this foreigner is just reacting to what is seemingly an unfortunate situation, okay? It's bad. It's bad all around. And when you know people who have suffered from mental illness before and how weak minded and how easy they are to break based off of the relentlessness of life and, relationships and things like that, and how it really does really take a toll on people, it's bad. I mean, I've been down and out, guys, man. Life is not perfect. I've had my moments where I'm like, man, what in the hell is going on? I've never once thought about hurting myself, and I've never had anybody tell me to hurt myself. And if they did, me and that person would definitely have something to talk about. But I know what it's like to be even partially drained and emotionally messed up dealing with school and, relationships and stuff like that. This guy here seems like it was, tenfold. And it kills me that there was nobody involved. What seemingly there was nobody to, get him out of that, or what all you can do is just tell him, oh man, you need to get out of that relationship. I think there needed to be more that could be, there needed to be more done, to prevent this from happening. And I feel like it just wasn't enough, guys. All right, man, I talk so long, man, but I go on a rant when I deal with situations like this. It doesn't make me happy. It's definitely, definitely, definitely disappointing. I wish things could have been different, but unfortunately, this is the way that it is. And it serves as a learning lesson for all of us. Like I said, I believe that most of the gentlemen who listen to me, you are of sound mind, body, and soul. So, like I said, much love and much respect to you. And gentlemen, make sure you take care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. More so mentally. You can always be in physically good shape, but mentally, if your mind's not right, bad things can happen. So, this is just my PSA, public service announcement brought to you guys by the good Dr. Mike TV. Bad things happen, man, and this is just one seriously unfortunate situation. I do pray for the family because, oh my God, no parent deserves to bury their child. That's the one thing that even that shit would hit me hard, to bury my own child, and it wasn't because of the result of anything else but somebody else. Oh man, don't know what I would do, guys. I don't know what I would do to that young lady. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm just being real. You take my child away from me. Oh God, you. That ain't right. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how I would react to that. Okay, she's in South Korea apparently, so I don't know if she could be gotten, but I don't know how they're gonna figure it out. But apparently they will. Okay, guys, I'm done. I really am. Good Doc is officially out. Let me know how you guys feel in the comment section below. All right. So, with that being said, I'm officially out. At least nako paalam, which means I am going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.